We had a general conversation about all sorts of things, but we focused more on what we were hoping to achieve in the classroom. We I guess, assumed that the plan was a given, and we looked at how we could provide a successful environment in classroom. So by providing an assessment rubric right at the start of a topic or lesson, so that the kids knew what the outcomes were going to be and they would work towards that. Having common routines and processes in the classroom, so that across the board kids get used to a particular routine and teachers know what to expect from kids as well. And to make sure that, or one of the things that we came up with, the possibility maybe of linking the assessment to the progression points in mathematics, or maybe the VALS outcomes and so on, so that kids know where they're at in terms of their own achievement and their own self-assessment. One of the suggestions was that the students in their peer groups could assess their own work, and that would lessen the workload of teachers to be able to do that, and thereby, you know, having more time to do other things. I guess, yeah, that's about it, I think.
One of the things that's come up in a couple of the examples now is the idea of watching other teachers. And it really is enormously powerful PD if you can make it work. Now, you've got to do things to make it work. And maybe I might even talk about that next time a bit. I've got actually a set of strategies for what you should do if you're observing. Actually, it's a set of strategies for what you should do if you're observing and what you should do if you're being observed. But it might be worth talking about that. But it's actually something that's really so powerful that the idea of putting it in a plan and then trying to get the resources to do it is actually really important.
Okay, our goals for 2010, we thought of two of them. First of all, a common statement of what is good learning and teaching, and increase the range of teaching strategies that can be used by all maths staff. Our specific actions, first of all, was to have an open discussion, open forum to come up with a common statement, and then also to investigate and share the bank of strategies that we realise we already have a huge range of expertise within the faculty, but we don't get around to sharing a lot of the time what we've got. Evidence will be that we'll write our vision statement, and we'll also include strategies when we're in our unit planning document. Responsibility is all members of the Maths KLA for both of those. What we need is time and possibly Teresa.
Okay. All right. Now, that actually confirms what I said before, is it seems like that you guys are on top of this task of doing it. I mean, it still has to be done, and you have to turn it into a document, but you know what to do. Okay. What I want to talk about is get some suggestions about what to do for the rest of today and then indeed next week. I guess that Lena is of the view that you guys should have a plan by the end of the year. Like, you know, this plan will be for what you'll do in 2010 maybe, or even beyond. So the idea is you need to come up with a plan. But you can't actually do the plan until you work with teachers at the school. And maybe one of your tasks could be between now and next week to explore what's the mechanism by which you're going to meet with teachers at the school. Like, can you identify, say, a day somewhere in December where you can get together and meet? Or can you, identify a series of after-school meetings? That might be one of the challenges to do that. So how are you actually going to achieve it? To do that? One of the issues that you might like, and I'm very happy if you do, is for you to have time now to simply plan your strategy for your plan. How are you going to go about doing your plan to do that? That's one of the things we could do to do that. Now, there are two things that I had planned already for you to do in this period. One was to talk through that lesson structure thing. And I was actually, I've got a sort of a more complicated thing than Sue, but you can, of course, reduce it down. And I was going to talk to you about some models of lessons that you could have that. So I've got that plan. I've also got a plan for using data, how you might work with the teachers at your school to use data effectively to help you focus. That's something else we've got. In terms of that discussion, two of the things that came out was, one is, how do you deal with the difference? Now, this would be, in a sense, sort of like PD for you, but how you would be better placed to actually engage with the teachers in your school. So one of the things could be, it's okay, how do we take a task and adapt it so it suits, that it extends the bright kids, but supports the weak kids, but still allows us to run a class? Now, that's important, of course, not just with a heterogeneous group. Even if your school streams, you still have a huge range of abilities and paces of learning. So it's still part of the process. So that's another thing we could do. I haven't planned, but I could easily plan that for next week. And there's a final one that suggested from it is another suggestion that I have for dealing with diversity like that. And it's what I call the self-contained unit. And that is a series of lessons that is self-contained in the way that the kids can start from, if you like, zero and go on to doing the work at the level they should be working. But just people get there at slightly different rates and slightly different ways. But it engages everyone all the way through the process. So it's another process. I'll call it self-contained. Okay. So what I want to do is I want you to now... well, maybe could just have 2 minutes at your table to say, what do you want to spend the time that we have together? We've sort of got like a day and a half to go. Yeah, you want to say, well, you should have a talk at your table about what you'd like to do, and we'll get some ideas. Interrupt. Now, now I heard what the table here suggested. Maybe just to get, but what do you guys want to do? What were your suggestions? Okay. Now, there are two actually important issues there, if I can address them both. Yeah, no, absolutely, you're going to have to take it back to the school and almost start again. But I guess I was really sort of saying is talking through, well, what are the issues? What are the processes? What would a evidence thing look like? You know, have experiencing that, so now you're better ready to do it. So it's really going through it, even though you'd throw it away, is what I'd be saying to do that. The second issue was what? Okay, whole school. Now, the whole school really only applies in the case of numeracy in terms of influence on other teachers. But the reason you would say we've got a whole school mathematics plan, because you would say, you know, for example, we want the maths teachers to, you know, we want, for Year 7 maths, we want, whatever it is, you know, 250 minutes of maths each week. And so, but that's, if you like, a whole school decision, because you're, in a sense, because that means you're going to take some time off someone else. So in a sense, the plan is, you know, if you did a maths plan, you're going to do a maths plan for the maths faculty, but it's going to have implications for the whole school. So that's why we call it a whole school plan, yeah. Okay. So the implication of that would be that you were sort of worrying whether it's not worth continuing on the plan thing. I'm just trying to now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you've got to go back to the staff. Okay.